that strict discipline approach was my internal language. It was all that I knew. And I was so critical within myself. And as I continued throughout my journey and found what we'll go into more of, somatic breath work to connect to my body, I was like, oh my gosh, where's like that gentleness, that compassion?
Welcome back to Power and Purpose Within. I'm Kori Burgess, and on each show we celebrate creators, founders, authors, and people who are creating joy in the careers that they've chosen. Can you imagine creating joy in your career? Well, they're doing it. They chose something that may look unconventional to you, but that's the beauty in what they've created. And that's what the beauty in celebrating what they created. So we're hoping that their journey could be your incentive to begin your journey. That's why we do this. But before we get started, if you like the show, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to stay updated on everything we're doing on this channel, make sure to ring that notification bell. Okay, let's get started. Today, we celebrate Sarah Putney. Sarah is the creator of Remothering Mamas. Remothering Mamas. Doesn't that sound cool? Let's find out what it's about. Hi, Sarah.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we're excited that you're here. Before we get started, I just want people to know her website. Her website is remotheringmamas.com. Remothering Mamas. For all of you matriarchs out there, go to that website. As a matter of fact, even if you're not a matriarch, go to the website so you can send matriarchs to the website on that. So I've got her website up here. It says, where your body leads the way to presence, peace, and prosperity. So Sarah, first of all, let's talk about, where did you get the name Remothering Mamas?
Such a great question. So, I have been on my healing journey my entire life. I was in and out of therapy since I was a child. I went through a pretty adverse childhood. I have biological parents who were addicts and alcoholics, and they lost custody of me when I was 6 weeks old. And I was raised by a single mom. And as a single mom, she had to play the role of both parents, right? So she was the mom and the dad. And in our household, it was a little more strict, right? School was a focus, sports was a focus, making sure I always did my homework, was getting the best grades that I could. She really wanted me to create a better life for myself. And throughout my journey, what I was finding is that strict discipline approach was my internal language. It was all that I knew. And I was so critical within myself. And as I continued throughout my journey and found what we'll go into more of, somatic breath work to connect to my body, I was like, oh my gosh, where's like that gentleness, that compassion? And my mom had a journey of her own trauma throughout her childhood and upbringing. So knowing that she did the best she could with what she had, I was able to learn how to remother myself with the unconditional love and compassion and kindness that I felt maybe I was lacking throughout my childhood and early adulthood.
That's interesting. So literally you remothered yourself. So remothering means being the mother for yourself that you might have missed in childhood, correct?
Yeah, correct. The language out there is around reparenting. I was learning how to reparent, but when it really came down to it, it was this maternal approach that I was like, I need to lean into this. There's something here.
So I suppose that's different for each person because it depends on the mothering and is it a mothering that you choose? You're like, this is what I would choose to do for myself? Or is it a mothering that your body and your emotions pull you in towards?
Yeah, so it's the wisdom of whatever comes up from the body. A lot of the times in working with my clients, they say, Oh my gosh, right? I had this vision come through or this feeling come through, and it's perfect for them and exactly what they need in that moment.
Okay. So we're talking about the breathing. Let's talk about what that looks like. How did you say somatic breathing? Somatic breathing?
Yeah, somatic. So, somatic just means a body led approach. In so much of traditional healing and psychotherapy, it's working with the mind. So, that's considered a top down approach. Somatic is body led. So, we allow our body to speak to us. It's so funny because as someone who I loved school, I loved my homework and reports and my sports. I was always an achiever, type A personality. I said, I'm not someone that can meditate. What do you mean just sit down for 5 minutes in silence? Like, I can't do that. That's not me. I can't focus. And so I found somatic breath work. After years of therapy, I was like, something has to change. I have to try something different. The saying of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I finally realized, all right, let me try something new. I went to a peer support group where someone was facilitating somatic breath work. And the breathing technique that she taught after 5, 10 minutes, my mind completely quieted. And I had never experienced that before because I had experienced so much anxiety throughout my life. My thoughts constantly running, focusing on the future, the next thing I had to do. That through this breathing technique, for my mind to quiet and actually feel what it was like to be in my body was a game changer. And I became
Mhm.
hooked there.
I suppose that's interesting because I suppose as you're saying this, I'm thinking about I do yoga and I do heart math. And I'm sure you've probably heard of heart mathing and not just belly breathing, but the breathing techniques. So I suppose for someone that never takes an opportunity to actually just sit in silence and listen to yourself, it can be freeing and scary at the same time because you may even second guess yourself because you never took the chance to listen to yourself. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, that's correct. And that's why I'm such a big proponent of guiding this work. Like, instead of trying to do it on your own, right? Sit in meditation for 5 minutes or lay down and breathe
Yes.
for 5 minutes. Yeah, find a guided practice
Yeah.
because in a guided practice, someone is essentially coaching you along
Mhm.
the way. A lot of what
Right.
I say in my practice is you know your body best. If at any time it feels too overwhelming, it feels too far outside of your comfort zone, reel it back in. You're in control of your body and you know what's best for you. I'm just here to guide you. And it's also okay to feel those feelings. It's okay to feel the overwhelm and discomfort. Just begin to understand where your edges are and what's doable for
Mm.
you.
I like that where your edges are. Okay, so take me through who's going into this. What type of a I guess is it only women?
So I primarily, yep, work with matriarchs and healers, which tend to be women. I have had men come to some of my in-person classes as well, but that's my particular clientele.
So when that client comes in, what is the average looking lifestyle or emotion or person that's walking into your practice?
Yeah, this is such a good question. So, the women that traditionally walk in are feeling so much internal emotional turmoil, but everything external in their world looks good, quote unquote.
Mhm.
Their life looks great from somebody from the outside looking in, but internally they're like, it doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel good. Like, I want support. I want help working through this emotional baggage. And what's really cool about the practice, unlike talk therapy and some of these other traditional approaches, is you don't need to retell the stories of your trauma. Because what I found in my experience working with different therapists, having to go through, right, this is what I experienced with my biological parents, this is what I experienced in my upbringing. Every time I retold the story, I was re traumatizing my body in a sense. So the practice allows you to work with the emotion, the murkiness, the discomfort without having to tell the story or have a story
See.
attached to it.
So you're working for where you're at, not dealing with, but addressing those feelings or those thoughts, that energy that's actually right there. You're working with that, saying, okay, this is where I'm at now, and let's work with where I'm at. Let's release or heal or embrace those areas that I'm at right now. Am I correct
Yeah.
on that?
I'll share my personal experience. My personal experience was I have had, right, visions or images of when I was a fetus in my biological mother's womb and not receiving the nutrients that I needed or not feeling that I was getting everything to grow in the way that I needed to. No, that's not a story that I've ever heard from anyone in my life. But within the breathwork practice, I would have these experiences to connect to different parts in my life that maybe I'd never knew about before or didn't have the language around. So while it's working in the present, sometimes you can have an experience or clients can have an experience that does tie to the past and does bring up something for them to just emotionally work through without having to understand all that's coming up.
You're trusting every thought that comes through because it's not created by anything but it's coming through you. I mean, it's not
Correct.
like you said, you're in the fetus. Nobody's told you this story. So this is something that is coming up within you. It's not
Yeah.
coming from outside influences. And when you're in this breathing technique, how do you help people begin that? How do you help people get into that technique?
Yeah, so we always start our practices. I have recorded options, I have live options, but all of them we start by just slowing down, right? So much of our life, we are busy, we're in a world that likes to rush and go, go, go. It all starts by arriving right here, right now. And for some of us, that's easier to do than others. But a lot of the times, I say, just look around the room that you're in, right? Notice if there's four walls, maybe you're outside. What can you see in your environment to help your body land right here? And trust that anything you have to do in the future, it's still going to be there waiting for you after the practice. So you can kind of let it go and come into the present moment as much as possible.
I love that. I will share with in our yoga, we have a unique yogi who talks you into the meditation. Yeah, because it might take a long time to get to the yin. You might sit there for 3 minutes, which seems like a long time, but 3 minutes is really short in the scope of a day. So, and that's probably what you're doing. You're telling people just take some time, just take some time to notice. And when you get someone who is, when it's difficult for them, do you suggest they do one-on-one with you as opposed to a group?
Yeah, so it absolutely depends on someone's bandwidth, emotionally, financially. So, of course, group sessions, recorded sessions, those are a lower financial investment. But if someone is in a place where they feel that they can listen to a recording and guide themselves through it or be in a group space, and allow everybody to be in the space together like a yoga class, right? The teacher is going to look out for the group and maybe offer one-on-one support as possible. That's an option. If somebody is feeling, right, I just don't know what to do, I have all this stuff, it would really be more supportive to have that one-on-one, then that's where I recommend that one-on-one support.
Gotcha. This is really cool because it aligns with, as you probably already know, a lot of the things that I promote and that I support. So I support you in this. This is great. It's not hard for me to reach that. If as you're listening, you realize you want more structure and support around this kind of inner work, I want to share something with you. I've created a 30-day personal growth challenge designed to help you slow down, reflect, and reconnect with yourself, one simple day at a time. It's not about perfection and it's not about pressure. It's about awareness and alignment and gentle consistency. If that feels supportive for where you're at right now, you'll find all the details linked in the episode description. Tell me about the power of the healing in the body, through the body, especially for the trauma or stress. What is the power of the body? Because a lot of people don't realize how much power we have. I mean, our bodies are created to heal themselves, number one. Number two, we can do so much with our bodies, So explain the power of our bodies.
I love starting with the definition of trauma. So much of the time, folks think trauma is just these big events that happen and you're traumatized. We think of traditional PTSD, maybe combat veterans. But there's a range of what is constituted as trauma. There's big T traumas, little t traumas. And what trauma is anything that is too much or too soon for the body to process. So, an example that I like to give is as a child, maybe my mom saying over and over again, right? Shh, be quiet, like, give me a minute, like, hold on. That's not traumatic in and of itself, but my body was like, "What do you mean? I'm trying to tell you a story right now. I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to express myself," and that's being hindered and pushed down, right? And it's not intentional harm, it's just something the body is like, "What's going on?" Your body has a
Yeah,
reaction, and so
so true.
internally, yeah, there's trauma that's created at the level of the body. And what can happen is those experiences get stuck, right? So let's say I was 4 years old and it happened. There's a part of me at 4 years old at the level of my body that's kind of stuck in time. And through breathing practices, through other trauma informed practices like yoga, somatic movement, what you're doing is you're allowing your body to work with that point in time and bring it up to be released. So, when we say, right, trauma is anything that's too much too soon, we're also so used to go, 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 like I mentioned before. We don't take that time to slow down and actually let the body process our experiences. So, another good example of this is two people might be in a car and get into a car accident. One person experiences trauma in their body because their body is not able to process the experience, and the other person doesn't experience trauma in their body because they process the experience. It all comes down to allowing the time and the space for your body to work through whatever it's experiencing. Dogs, before we hit record, we were talking about our dogs are a great example. You'll see dogs, if they experience something that is too much for their body, they shake it off. They literally start shaking. And as humans, this is something primal that we've lost over time because of cultural and societal expectations of how we're supposed to behave, how you properly show up in a space that we
When
don't
people
know.
say, get over it. Yeah. Or you
Yes.
just get over it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
we don't know how to naturally release that pent up energy, and then
Hmm.
that's where it gets stuck in the body.
Wow. I'm analyzing myself now. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, it is interesting because there's one saying, now I'm going to get comments below, but there's one saying that my mother used to say to me, and it just would make my back steel up. She'd go, you know what you better do? Yeah, you better do this. You better do that. And as soon as she'd say, you better do, I'm like, I'm not doing it. And so, even to this day, if somebody says, you know, you better do, I'm like, I'm doing the absolute opposite. But, and it could just be because I was never allowed to do my own thing, you know? And it could be a subtle trauma, like you said it, but it gives a reaction. And I probably do need to work that out. I need to raise that out and let it go because I'm like, I'm never better doing anything.
So, if anybody is watching the video, I know some of you will be listening to audio. I want you to rewind and watch Kori's body as she said that. Her body went like this. It tensed
Mhm.
up as those words came out.
Yeah.
So the body has this experience, this remembrance that we
Mhm.
don't consciously hold on to.
Right.
It's an unconscious experience, and you can just
Yeah.
see how your body changed when you said those words.
And I feel it. I do feel it. And the only reason that that came up when you were saying that about the, you know, shh, to be quiet, be quiet. Shh. Just this past weekend, my daughter said something. I said, well, you know, you better. And I was, as soon as I said, you better, I stopped myself. It was like, do whatever you want to do. Because I have adult women, you know, as daughters. But even if I didn't, I don't think I ever told them you better do anything, you know. But you're right. It brings a posture, a certain posture to yourself. Yeah. So small trauma, you don't think of it as trauma because you're right. People think of trauma as being big. something being big, but those little things add up to become big. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and, like, I was someone that I didn't identify as a survivor of what's called complex PTSD, the little traumas in childhood that add up over time. I never identified as that until I really dove into my healing and was like, holy crap, I did experience a lot. Wow. Now I understand why therapists would say to me, you're doing so great for everything you've been through. At the time,
Mhm.
I was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm
Right.
still struggling. Like, what do you mean?" And now I'm like, "Okay, yeah, right. They had a point because I was just so like, I didn't experience trauma. What do you mean?" And so a
Hmm.
lot of the
Hmm.
times in working with my clients, if we don't want to identify something as trauma, that's okay too, right?
Yeah.
You get to pick your language. You can call it stress on the body. You can call it chronic stress. What matters is it's
Hmm.
still having the same impact at the
Yes.
level of the body where it's creating this experience where your body doesn't know how to process it.
Wow. All right. So tell me, who is coming to see you? Like you said, you're connecting with women and moms. Do you work with moms who are mothering the way their mothers mothered and want to get past that? Because a lot of times moms mother the way their mothers mothered and they don't even see it and they didn't want to be their mom. I don't want to be my mom.
Yeah, great question. So, a lot of the time, I have moms come in that are already breaking those cycles. They already have the awareness around my mom did certain things. I don't want to do them the same way. Or I'm really critical with myself. I want to have more compassion and grace. And those are the moms who are coming to see me. They already have the awareness around what they want to change. And they've tried therapy. They've maybe tried mindset work. They've tried these other modalities that haven't shown them lasting impact and lasting change. And they're ready to try something else.
Because with you, are they breaking free or are they accepting?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
All right.
You're just
Mhm.
accepting the experiences, right? Without the story, you don't need to have all the little details and stories, but you're accepting what has happened in your life and your journey. And then you're releasing the emotions, the energy that's no longer serving you so that you can
Mm.
move forward in creating the life that you truly desire.
Wow, you must have people bawling, crying all the time. Wow.
I had a therapist that came to me for a one and I personally love working with therapists. So if you're a therapist listening to this and you're interested, please reach out or a social worker. But this particular therapist, I do virtual sessions, right? So over Zoom one-on-one. And she's like, "Yeah, I do yoga and I do some other things, but my life is so busy. I'm also a mom. I just kind of want to like slow down and see what this is about." And I'm like, "Okay, no problem." And so we're going through the practice, and everyone's experience is different. Some clients are bawling, crying. Some clients' bodies will shake uncontrollably as a way
Mm.
to release the energy because the extra oxygen in the body. And
Mm.
she, the whole practice, just laid perfectly still, content, still. At the very end, I saw like little tears streaming down her face.
Oh.
And when I asked her, I said, "Is there anything you want to talk about?" Because we always have time to like debrief after the experience. If there's any questions, anything you didn't understand. And she's like, "Oh my gosh," for the first 10 minutes or so, she's like, "My mind just kept going. And I just kept saying, am I doing this right? Like, what's going to happen?" And she's like, "Finally, my body relaxed. And I felt a peace that I've never experienced before."
Oh,
And I was like, "You
wow.
received exactly what you needed
You
in
did,
that
yeah.
moment."
And it brought tears to her eyes.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. There's so much joy in discovering your peace and being able to sit in it and let that peace engulf you because we're all made different and nobody's made perfect. But yet, when we align with what we're meant to do and be and have and know, especially know knowledge, it can bring a peace because we're not supposed to know everything. We're not supposed to do everything. We're not supposed to have everything. We're not supposed to be everything. But when we can be in a level of peace, that opens up a doorway for you to be able to be even more of yourself because you're at peace with yourself, you know? And so you helping these women, these moms, release these tensions and these stories that they might even tell themselves over and over again. Have you heard the story of your mind becomes the story of your life? You know, and so helping these moms remother themselves, retake care of themselves, because mothering, that's a big word to say remother. Being a mother is huge. That's huge. I don't think a lot of women, I think fathers can appreciate mothers. You know, the father's like, I can appreciate her being the mom. I don't want to be the mom. You know, I don't know if men understand mothers. Most mothers understand other mothers, especially if they're on target of being a provider, being a nurturer, being a place of counsel. But when you say remother, you're literally doing all that for yourself, being a nurturer for yourself, being a place of protection for yourself. That's huge. To say remothering is not, that's why I was like, where did you get that word from? Because that's a strong word, mothering.
Yeah, and it actually came through. My daughter is now 3 years old at the time of this recording. And everybody kind of, I'm going to say, warns you in quotes, right? They give you their experience. Oh, just wait until you have kids and XYZ. And I was of the belief, like, I've nannied. I grew up in a corporate daycare my entire life. I've been around kids. Like, I've got this. Pregnancy was beautiful. I loved pregnancy. Postpartum, I was rocked. I was like, oh, this is reality. And to your point, right? Mothering in and of itself is such a tremendous job and duty to nurture another human being and keep them alive. You don't know what it's like until you go through it. And I stand by that belief because I thought, I was like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And then I became mom and was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Because,
And
hold on. And you were a nanny too, you said, right?
yeah.
So you think my daughter's a nanny. You know, she's like, well, you know, I'm mothering. I'm like, okay.
You get to give those kids back. It's different.
Yeah.
You get to give them back at the end of the day. Yes.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're good. You're good. And I was just going to say, right, as mothers, like we're caring for, we're nurturing our child, we're giving so much of our time and attention to others that we forget how to take care of ourselves. And my postpartum period, it landed. I'm like remothering mamas. That's what I'm here to do because we need to shift out of this culture of martyrdom and self-sacrificing and actually take care of ourselves because self-care is not selfish. If you have the opportunity to do it, it is like your birthright and it is your priority because taking care of yourself, you can better take care of others. And I believe it actually makes the world a better place.
Absolutely. You know, I tell my clients and I tell anybody that'll listen, if this cup is empty, it's no good. There's nothing in it. You can't drink from it. You can't, it's dry. You got to keep your cup full and you don't want it halfway empty because you're half of yourself. You want it so full that every time it's full and it's overflowing, the overflow is what people get. And it's so refreshing because it's constantly overflowing. You know, if we can constantly overflow, that's rushing water. There's nothing more clean and pure and healthy for your body is pure rushing water. You know, people go when they're camping, they need to be near a stream that's constantly running, right? So if you can keep that overflow in yourself, everybody's getting the extra. You feel fantastic because you're giving the extra. And that's what we're meant to do. We're not supposed to dry our cups out so we're just barely getting there. We're just squeaking through and people are like, she's mean. Yeah, I'm mean. I got nothing. Right? Gosh, you know, she did it for me, but she didn't like doing it. No, because I wasn't full. You're right. It's about self-care. You got to take care of you. Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
So true. So in letting people know if they want to work with you, is the best place to go to your website or your Instagram account and give people your Instagram account too. I think you have an Instagram account, correct?
Yeah, so Instagram is Remothering Mamas. If you want to work together, the best place is my website. You'll see free somatic practice. There's a 20-minute audio recording you can sign up for. It is only 48 hours access, Reason being, myself, so many of my clients, we sign up for all the freebies and then we never actually do them. So giving you 48 hours from the time of sign up actually helps you keep that commitment to yourself and actually participate in the 20-minute practice. It's 20 minutes, right? You can find 20 minutes in your week to listen to an audio, take time for yourself. You can also find my recorded programs, which are more accessible. They're somatic breathwork journeys. I have for service professionals a somatic awareness training. If you want to learn how to be in your body and feel discomfort with clients who are emotionally dumping on you, maybe trauma dumping, how can you be sovereign in your body, hold that attunement with your client, and lean back a little bit? That training might be for you. And then I also host day retreats in Connecticut. So I have a training for service providers and wellness professionals. If you want to learn to host your own day retreat, I go through a 90-minute training plus a bonus workshop on retreat finances. That's an option as well. And then also on my website, somatic healing sessions are my one-on-one virtual sessions that you can check out.
That's brilliant. How beautiful is this? Put in the comments if you've been through anything that she just spoke about. And if you put, yes, I have, then you need to click on her website. Sarah, what you're offering women is a retreat for themselves, living in a life of a retreat. Can you imagine if your whole life was a retreat so you didn't have to go to a retreat? You know, you're freeing up their bodies, their emotions, their mind, their energy so that they can live in a retreat. Because once you're teaching them this is a practice that they constantly use on their own. They're not stuck with you for the rest of their lives. You're mothering them back into the field, which is called this world, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And to have those tools and resources to take with you along the way. And you're like, all right, what do I have in my tool belt that I can pull from right now? Right? What deep breath can I take? What phrase can I bring myself back to? And right, it's all about preparing you for in the day to day, because that is the hardest part. You leave a retreat or a session, you feel amazing, and then you got to go back to reality. And how do you integrate that into reality?
So you're teaching people to live in their retreat. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I'm glad we found you, or you found us. I was glad about that. Thank you. And also, thank you so much for sharing your revelations and your experiences. That's pure, because everyone has revelation. It's just, are you willing to share it? So thanks for that. And for those viewers and listeners, thanks so much for joining us in this show. Make sure you check out Sarah and share this video or share this audio with those that you love, those that you see struggle and don't really know what else to give them or share with them. Just send it to them and say, I was thinking about you, check this out, because it could be something that they're looking for and they don't even know they need it. So once again, thanks for being with us, and make sure you subscribe and hit the notification so you get other great content just like this one. Okay, thanks for joining us on Power and Purpose Within, and we will see you on the next show. Bye. Thanks, Sarah.